Everybody. We're burning the midnight oil tonight. We are at day 1464, and we are counting the days. Um, Unacceptable. 1464 days that Richard was murdered. He was under 24-hour whistleblower security. When his security detail failed to show up for duty, he was then forcibly removed from his barracks room and murdered. It was orchestrated. This is not outrageous or outlandish to say that it was orchestrated. We know we have the evidence. We have the long history of him as a whistleblower being constantly and severely retaliated against, framed, them trying to discredit him because of his moral courage to stand up against the criminal traffickers. And, you know, so it is very clear that this is orchestrated, like the task force find Richard Halliday was orchestrated, like the Walmart mass shooting was orchestrated, like so many of these major crimes. Um, Everyone's talking about the assassination attempt on President Trump being orchestrated because of, the phone connections, and of course that the FBI woman that is connected to the Mormon church, um, and being FBI. They're talking about the angles of shots, or talking about the sounds of the shots, everything. They're analyzing it. The citizen investigator is our law enforcement right now. The FBI has been discredited. They cannot be trusted. Christopher Wray's testimony the other day in Congress totally discredited him. It was just absolutely clear that he is up to no good, that he is not defending the Constitution, that he is serving a foreign and domestic enemy of this country. Very clear. He needs to be fired. He needs to be held accountable for all the crimes that he has committed as the FBI director. Very clear. The testimony, it does not leave any doubt in your mind. Any doubt if you're paying attention to what's going on. So this is not after 4 years of seeing how the stones of truth have risen, how the stars in their course have fought against Sisera, the evil, how this has brought forth all the evidence like we have today. A big common denominator are the Mormons. The Mormons are a big common denominator, of course, inserting into, and no one ever talks about that. And and I'm not picking on them. This is not me targeting them. I'm saying this is a common denominator, and the Mormon leadership, they need to respond, and they haven't responded. They have not responded. But they have a lot of people that are up to no good. Up to no good, absolutely criminal. And so that is a common denominator. And that common denominator has also been something that has linked Richard's case to the Walmart mass shooting, orchestrated mass shooting, absolutely orchestrated mass shooting. And also the narrative was framed. I'm not saying that the mass shooting didn't happen. I'm saying that it was orchestrated. And a lot of people um, that were used as witnesses and all of that, that's that's why they do not want that case to go forward, right? And that's why Bill Hicks told Loretta Lynn Hewitt, and thank God for Loretta Lynn Hewitt. Thank God for her, because she had a moral backbone, right? And she absolutely told us what was going on in the DA, the usurper's office, that they were only going to use the case for reelection purposes. And lo and behold, the election's coming up, and they want to have some kind of hearing in the beginning of September. Lo and behold, right? They're going to use that case. Never, they're like, we're hoping we get a trial date, right? But they want to bring parade Patrick Crucius out there. He's been in, who knows what they've been doing to him. He's been in isolation for 5 years. They're going to march him out, and they're going to use somehow frame a false story narrative, this and that. That's my opinion for the election, um, because that's what Bill Hicks said. That's the instructions that were given to Loretta Lynn Hewitt, who was given only herself and one paralegal on that case after they had been given millions of dollars. What happened to that money? You see, there's so many different facets to this that you can focus on. And our focus is getting our son's remains that we should have gotten, years ago. Years ago, we should have gotten his remains. And there is no doubt that dirty agent Marlon Soto, dirty agent Tavita Nusa, that FBI supervisory director, dirty supervisory director for El Paso, for the FBI there, Jesus Nieto, absolutely knew, and I think others knew what happened to Richard, and absolutely has his remains. I know that the leadership in the military absolutely knows what happened to Richard, because the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM is connected to Nadal Baim. And Nadal Baim absolutely told us that they knew that they had Richard's remains. So this is and another important thing, going back to the Mormons, is that they control Bliss Avenue. Okay, Jonathan Ambriz is connected to the Mormon Church. Danae Katzen is connected to the Mormon Church. Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia is connected to the Mormon Church. Leilani Hart is connected to the Mormon Church. And I shouldn't even say church. I should say congregation. That's what they call themselves, a Mormon congregation, right? This is the congregation. And, so Leilani Hart, there's so much wrong with her. And she's being used as an unreliable source with Belen Rocha, with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, all of them unreliable sources, connected to Bob Moore of El Paso Matters through El Paso Community Foundation, right? As an unreliable source to retaliate against whistleblower, to obstruct justice in Richard's case. And Leilani Hart, there's so much wrong with her. She's the mother of Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart. So much wrong with all of that. And then you have Jonathan Ambriz, married to Danae Katzen, right, who targeted us along with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, along with Leilani Hart, along with um, Belen Rocha, and is being used also by the media. And Jonathan Ambriz is totally connected to KTSM. Danae Katzen totally connected to KTSM. And Jonathan Ambriz is somebody, y'all. He went to West Point. Now, he failed to get commissioned. He failed to get commissioned. But he's no slouch, with his cybersecurity for DHS and all the other LLCs that he does, and his education. It is just, it will blow you away. And I'm gonna post it. And don't tell me that Jules Tuganon Chan doesn't know who Jonathan Ambriz is, right? Absolutely, they know each other. And the point is that they were framing a false narrative around Jonathan Ambriz and Danae Katzen. Okay? Because they get arrested, but then 5 minutes later or whatever, no, 5 minutes is an exaggeration. But shortly thereafter, they're let go. And this is going to come around to talking about El Mayo and El Chapo's sons, and what's going on with the arrests of that. But clearly, FitFam El Paso was developing and framing a false narrative, a false story, a false a hypnosis on the people of El Paso, of the law enforcement community, to give a false perception, to discredit Danae Katzen and Jonathan Ambriz on who they are, what their connections are, to mislead, to obstruct justice, but really to mislead. They tamper. This was all of the MSN, Fox, who else covered? I mean, multiple, KTSM, I believe, or, they covered the story of Jonathan Ambriz and Danae Katzen to give a false impression that they were just, eating a lot of donuts, conning a lot of people, and were just a lower level criminals. And yet they featured them over and over again, right? Because it was a hypnosis. They have to twirl the story, spin the story, so that you're like, oh, okay. I need to believe that. And, for us, in Richard's case, it seems like we're beyond that matrix thing a little bit. I'm not saying that we've got their number completely, but we definitely understand their hypnotic and false narratives, and what, because look at what they did with the Walmart case. Look at what they did to Glendon Oakley Jr. Look at what they did to Asia Graham. Look at what they did to Richard Halliday. Look at what they were doing with Vanessa Guillen's case. That was a hard one for them because of her remains being found. But before those remains were found, they were spinning. They were doing everything they could to hide the huge crime that was committed against her. Um, it was just thank you so much to the Hispanic community that came together for Vanessa. And it's amazing that that her family has her remains. I'm just I want Richard's remains too. You know, um, yeah, they've just spin this and everything. Look at this. Look at the false narratives over and over again of our whistleblower, right? Of Richard's death story. I know, and we haven't responded to them. We need to respond to them, but I think it's El Paso. I don't want to say the wrong one. That's carrying that story of Bob Moore's story, right? And Angela Kachurgo says she cared. Oh my gosh, y'all, she's so bad. She is so bad. She sold her soul, you know. She's in living hell right now. She really is. She's just in living hell. I don't even know how she sleeps at night because of the new stories coming out. We know 85,000 missing children in 2 years. Well, now we know that it's like 50, what is it? 49. I don't want to get the numbers totally wrong, but every day, like we have 500 a week, 500 children coming into this country unaccompanied. Unaccompanied children. Where are these children coming from? When you have like 40, 50 a day coming into this country, who's sending their children, right? I don't think anyone's, I think they're being shuffled, being kidnapped, being whatever. Who is and where are these children going? And who's paying for these children? And who's taking care of these children? Because let me tell you what, it's scary when you know that James Hart had Hart childcare, right? That Leilani and James Hart had Hart childcare. And here they are involved in child pornography. They're involved in incest. They're involved in, the sexual assault of a 7-year-old in her master bedroom. And that's not me saying it. That is Leilani Hart saying it in a notarized affidavit and, having illegally purchased weapons. And then having communications amongst themselves that I guess she was handing them out, I don't know. Anyway, so that's been corroborated through their long family history of child sexual abuse, and the failure to report this, the failure to do anything about this. And the time has come that it has to end. This criminal activity that's hurting children has to end. And they had Hart childcare, and they're connected to the Mormon church, and she has, a sexual activity with the CID agent who's married, so that makes it all illicit. And she's bragging she has control over the Fort Bliss CID. And Marlon Soto's not like, our office is really screwed up right now. No, he's with them. He's with them. And absolutely, he's telling me things, telling us things that were, talk about outlandish, that were totally outlandish. When you have a missing soldier, you don't talk about those things. You just go and find the soldier. Ma'am, we are going to find your son. That's all. Sir, we're going to find your son. That's all. And go and find him. But no, it was this game. It was outlandish orchestration of a smear campaign on Richard. continued retaliation on a dead soldier, on a murdered soldier, on a murdered whistleblower who had just been, you know, totally cut up. This is this type, this is this is why we cannot just say, okay, you can do this. You can retaliate severely, continuously against a whistleblower. You can, murder him when the whistleblower security breach happens, when the security fails to show up for duty, and you can, go in there and murder him, and then you can cover this all up in the most brutal, evil way. And then you can continue to retaliate against the family, against, a dead soldier. You can swim in that cesspool. But, the truth is that now they're coming up for air, and there's nobody there to no lifeboat for them, no nothing. They're in that cesspool. And the institutional support is looking at what's going on. And I'm not saying that these are perfect institutions, right? And agencies. I'm not saying that at all. But, they're all like, okay, we've been exposed, and what do we do now? And they're realigning everything. And so that brings us to the discussion of how El Chapo, how El Mayo and El Chapo, how this arrest, how what has happened the last few days, the court, being arraigned, and him being brought in a wheelchair, and then there, the news is saying that he didn't show up. No, he was there. We have proof that he was there. And how is this connected to Richard's case? Okay, because Richard was a whistleblower. Now they've wanted to hypnotize the public. But we're right. He was a whistleblower. He was calling Washington, D.C. Why is it that our phone calls that I haven't talked about lately, but our phone calls that we trace back to the White House, right? To Washington, D.C. To, of course, it's like a server, right? It's like a server. To Santa Clara, California, right? To Toronto, Canada, to Seoul, South Korea, right? And everywhere is like the FBI building. Oh yeah, and of course, NATO, right? So, we're like, what? This is not what we expected. We expected like Amber Chase's house, right? That's what we expected. But no, we got a totally different results. And what it showed you is an orchestrated effort to discredit Richard, to continue to retaliate against him severely, even though he's can't even, he's been murdered, and to retaliate against the family, to cover this up. And how is that connected to El Mayo and El Chapo, what they're, the son of El Chapo, what they're doing right now? This whole plane situation, the logs have been tampered with. The timestamps have been tampered with. Well, have you heard that before? Yes, with Bill Hicks. He tampered with timestamps. Have you heard of tampering with files? Yes, in Richard's case. the files have been tampered with. They have been sanitized. Have you heard about all the cleaning up all the information with 143? And now we have absolutely confirmed that Jonathan Ambriz was in the army in what? 143 ADA. 143 ADA as a sergeant. He didn't get commissioned. Even though he went to West Point, something happened at West Point. He didn't complete it. He was never commissioned. But he was in 143. And we confirmed that today. So, and to have his level of computer, cyber security, all his credentials and everything are just, he's been trained and trained and trained. He is not some kind of low level con man that married Danae Katzen, right? That Danae Katzen is not a nobody, right? These are connected. These are, connected to the Mormon church, and connected to agencies, and they, but their protection, you see what happened is their protection left them. And instead of exposing them exactly who they are and all of their connections that would expose, who's behind FitFam El Paso, um, military agencies, right? Instead of exposing that, they orchestrate and they frame a false narrative, even with the truth. There's some truth there. They probably were, conning. They're up to no good, right? They're criminals. They're up to no good. But they were framing a certain narrative to mislead the public of what was really going on. So this is, I can't believe it's so late, but I had to come on. This is really, really important because what's happening with El Mayo and El Chapo, with all the information, again, something is not right. Something is not right. The logs were tampered with, the timestamps tampered with. The other El Chapo son was let free, so it's like, okay, what happened there? Was there an exchange? And he was arrested without an arrest warrant, just like our house was searched without a search warrant. Um, this is signs of the Wild West. People in desperation in these agencies. They've been exposed, you see, and they're in desperation, so much so that they're willing to just, create one violation after the other, to continue retaliation, continue to cover up, because the retaliation is the method of discrediting to cover up their crimes. And so, what's outrageous is their behavior. Their behavior is totally outrageous. They're the ones tampering. They're the ones using our agencies, our funding, to weaponize and abuse the power that their positions give them, and to cover up absolutely major criminal crimes. And there's other connections with this, why it's important for us in the El Mayo and El Chapo son, the son of El Chapo, why this case is important, because of the criminal trafficking, right? And Richard was right all along. It's criminal trafficking. It is the child sex trafficking and human smuggling and the weapons smuggling and the ammunition smuggling and all of these, the drug trafficking, all of this stuff that's happening. And he's reporting to Washington, D.C., to the IG, we're all over the barracks because of Halliday, to the CID, to the FBI Houston, to the CPS, anywhere that he could go to call out for help. And, and he was so afraid, he could tell something was going on because he called 911. He called 911 for help multiple times, and he bought a pistol, right? But his security failed, and they got him. But he was right all along. This is criminal trafficking, and this is this rogue, those that perpetrated the murder on Richard are part of this rogue breakaway response group, the original response to Richard. And that's why this has taken 4 years, right? Taken so much time. Thank you. To get, well, we received the declaration of death with all of the receipts, right? With all that came with that, which they never wanted us to have that because of the position, the legal position that would give us, and the resources that would give us. They never wanted us to have that. We want Richard's remains, and so we want to help El Paso. We want to help our country. We want to help our military. What we know, and even what we know with the El Mayo case, y'all, we're not at liberty to tell you what we know, but it's absolutely connected to Richard's case. Absolutely. And, because they're losing their support now, you're going to see some really crazy lawlessness because they're gnashing their teeth, right? They're crying and gnashing their teeth. And, it's all being exposed. And this whole, just pay attention to the El Mayo. It is not what the media tells you. Okay? It is not, I can tell 100%. The arrest of El Mayo and the son of El Chapo and the release of the other son is not what they're telling you. It's already they're already reporting it's a botched case. So what does that mean? They're going to be that careless. They're going to be that careless on how they do this kind of arrest of this very powerful person. They're going to be that careless, and they're going to tamper with the logs and tamper with the timestamps. They don't add up. So we know, and then they lie and say that he wasn't there when he was there, and the documents show that he was there, and he was there in a wheelchair for the arraignment or whatever they call that, So, what we're being told is not reliable. And we know that Bob Moore is discredited and a disgrace and disgusting. And we know that what they did with Jonathan Ambriz in the FitFam El Paso and others that carried him. Look, you've got MSN, you've got Fox News, you've got KTSM, you've got, which is NBC, you've got major money, major resources that is not looking into Jonathan Ambriz. Are you kidding me? And that he's connected to Richard Halliday's case, and he's 143 ADA, and he's married. Well, he just married, but he's connected to Bliss Avenue. He's married to Danae Katzen. He's connected to the Mormon Church. He's connected to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, which is connected to the Walmart case. And he's DHS, cybersecurity. He went to West Point. He's got all these know-hows, all this training. Someone supported him for all of that. He's got all these LLCs. Who's his LLCs with? Who's managing that with him? What's all that? So, he's connected to David Candelara of KTSM. And KTSM doesn't want to say that in the article. Hey, this is my buddy. He knows some Chinese. He's good cybersecurity. He's this West Pointer. He's DHS. You know, he's a capable individual. And he was a 143 ADA. He had some problems at West Point because he didn't get commissioned. He was a sergeant. And he's a disabled veteran. So that means he is a very good chance that he knows James Hart. Because he's with the disabled veterans, he's worked with them. And anyway, they would know all of this. That's my point. Who is this person that we are going to feature? Who is Leilani Hart? Who's Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia? Who is Belen Rocha? Who is Danae Katzen? Oh my goodness, they're all connected. They're all connected. And they're all unreliable sources. And as the truth comes out, it's like, okay, what happened? Because don't forget, they've known each other for a long time, Danae. This is Bliss Avenue, y'all. This is Bliss Avenue. And Danae worked very hard to lie to us, to misdirect us, to play with our feelings, to cover up for somebody. Was it for herself? Was it for Jonathan? Who was it for? In Richard's case. And they have absolutely done to Jonathan. It was very difficult getting information about him because they're doing to Jonathan what they did for Ernest Christopher Grant. Ernest Christopher Grant is even more ghosted. He takes a lot of work to find out information. He's got some connections. Of course, Chris Cuomo came to visit him. Beto O'Rourke came to... Look, if Jonathan Ambriz went to West Point, then Beto O'Rourke and Veronica Escobar had to have something to do with that. Okay? Yes. So that's really breaking news. That's huge breaking news today. And I have even more, but I'm not at liberty to tell you. Just say a prayer about the Almaya. Um, and because it's so sensitive and because of just the unbelievable actions of these people, we have to be kind of careful. We have to protect people. So just keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on El Paso. You know, we put in another, um, this has to do with lawyers too. A lot of lawyers. That's a common denominator. A lot of lawyers here that are up to no good. And so we uh, filed another Texas State Bar complaint. Um, just to let you know that we're very active behind the scenes and to put those together. You know, what gets me upset about these state bar complaints is that the state bar complaint system is supposed to be for the normal citizen, right? For the normal person. You know, hey, this lawyer is up to no good. Please help. Right? And the Texas State Bar, I don't know. I think we'll see. But they have to realize that it's not meant for lawyers and investigators or judges or whatever to have to submit the complaints. It's for the regular citizen. And the regular citizen is not trained in the law. That's why we have the state bar complaint system, to be an oversight to these rogue lawyers, criminal lawyers. And, you know, so please use that system and make sure at the very beginning you say that. The system is for a regular citizen. I don't have to be educated. I don't have to have certain connections. All I have to do is understand that this lawyer is breaking the rules of conduct as a lawyer, and the state bar should do the investigation. That's what we pay them to do. That's what they're supposed to do. And let's say a prayer for the complaints that we put in, because it is, we need to use our system. We need to use it, and we need to hold those that are, you know, hired by us to do their duty. To do their duty. And that's a tough one. Because I think we have been so trustworthy, at least I was. I was so trustworthy, and you know, I was raised to, you know, don't complain too much. Don't complain too much. Come on. No. Um and now we have this hypnosis that you cannot get anything done. You'll never be able to get it done. You'll never be able to get accountability. You'll never be able to hold them accountable. No one's ever done it. You know, this is a hypnosis. Then why have a system? Why have a system if it doesn't work, if we can't use it. So I don't buy it. We have the system. We're going to use it. This is about the brutal murder of our son. It's not like, oh, you know, somebody jaywalked or whatever. These people need to be held accountable for not only the retaliation against a whistleblower, the breach of security that led to his murder, the murder, and also the cover up, and also the retaliation against the witnesses and whistleblowers in our case, and the tampering of the files, the weaponization of the system to hide this brutal crime that was, the prime suspect is Richard's platoon leader. That's the prime suspect. So, and we have these very weak, look at this weak general we have there now on Fort Bliss, who's like, oh, thank you for the first response when I have one soldier kill another soldier. Oh, thank you for the response. What? I mean, Patton needs to come alive again and get his little glove out and go whack, 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 whack. Wake up! Wake up! We have a soldier killing another soldier. It's not time to be so weak. We've got, 30 to 50 children every day. Every day. Unaccompanied children every day crossing that border in El Paso. What? In 10 days, that's 500 children. What? Where are they going? Who's taking care of them? Who's paying for all of that? How did they even get there? Unaccompanied children. Richard said, Mom, it's so bad. It's so bad. I'll talk about anything, but I'm not going to talk about the Army. It's so bad. So, but the good news is, and and I think that the whole El Mayo and the son of El Chapo and this situation, I have my own thoughts, but this situation, the tampered logs, the tampered timestamps, the way that this arrest was made without even having an arrest warrant, and the way that everything is being covered, and it's just so fabricated, right? It's so like the task force find Richard Halliday without an op board, it's already been proven in the media that the case is botched. Okay, if the case is botched and you have a billionaire, then you never really meant for him to have to be caught. Something else is going on here, right? Because he's going to get out. Something else is going, and what this is telling us is that institutional support is being shaken for them. Something is shaking, and that's a very good term, right? Because isn't it in the Messiah? And I think it's Isaiah, that God is going to shake, 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 shake it. That what is good will stay standing, and all of the the crime, all of the dereliction, all that's going to be coming crumbling down. So something is being shaken right now, and in El Paso, and it's so say a prayer, say a prayer, and absolutely it's connected to Richard's case. And as soon as we are at liberty to tell you, we will tell you. So keep your eye on that. And, thank you so much. God bless you for coming on so late. Here we are, burning the midnight oil. God bless you. God bless El Paso. El Paso is so beautiful, y'all. It's such a special city. And that's why there is this will to control it, right? It is an ancient city, and it is worth understanding the history of it and loving it and fighting for righteousness for El Paso and El Pasoans. It's so rich in its culture, and it has so much potentiality. And I'm not just saying that since I was born there, at White Sands, and I just love that area. I'm saying because it's the truth. It's the truth. And it's the truth because it's the miners. They don't mine an area that is not special. They mine areas that are very special. So that's a whole nother conversation. So thank you. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Thank you, Anicia, for your love and your prayers. And yes, and that's fine. Is it your birthday? Happy birthday to you if it's your birthday. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Birthdays are... Don't forget to celebrate your birthday when it's your birthday. It's special. All right. Good night.